Hello and a very good evening. You're watching the news at 6 on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds wide-ranging talks with Spanish President Rajoy. India and Spain signed 7 agreements. IIT Madras bows to pressure, books 9 students for allegedly assaulting a PhD scholar after massive protests. DMK also holds huge rally against the centre's new cattle slaughter rules. At least 80 dead and over 300 injured in a suicide car bombing in Kabul. Indian embassy officials are safe, confirms Sushma Swaraj. Showers and strong winds lash northeastern states of Mizoram and Manipur. Authorities advise residents to stay indoors as the effect of Cyclone Mora remains strong around the region. And the US successfully intercepts and destroys a target during a missile test. The first of a kind test by the Pentagon is being seen as a warning to North Korea. Well, India and Spain have decided to cooperate on fight against terrorism and curb terrorist finance and money laundering. A crucial country in Europe and close to Africa, Spain is strategically important for India, not only economically but also politically, for a balancing act in new emerging world order after Chinese muscle flexing in the name of One Belt, One Road. Prime Minister Narendra Modi spent a full day in the European country talking to various levels of leadership to strengthen the relationship.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday had very extensive talks with President of Spain, Mariano Rajoy on issues of mutual interest and global stability. 7 agreements were signed thereafter in the presence of 2 leaders. The agreements included transfer of sentenced persons, MOUs on organ transplantation, cybersecurity, renewable energy and technical cooperation in civil aviation, visa waiver for diplomatic passports and collaboration between diplomatic institutes. However, both leaders also expressed interest in cooperation in areas much more than the present agreements.
हर प्रकार की अमानवीय चुनौतियों के बीच भी हर देश में आर्थिक विकास की प्राथमिक जिम्मेदारी होती है। राष्ट्रपति जी ने स्पेन के अंदर आर्थिक क्षेत्र में अनेक रिफॉर्म किए हैं। नेक्स्ट जनरेशन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, ग्लोबल बेंचमार्क के साथ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर अपग्रेडेशन, रेलवे एक्सपांशन, रेलवे अपग्रेडेशन, स्मार्ट सिटीज, ऐसे अनेक क्षेत्र हैं जिसके अंदर स्पेन की महारत है। भारत इतना बड़ा देश है कि इस विकास की ऊंचाई में बहुत सारा अवकाश स्पेन के लिए भी भारत में आर्थिक गतिविधि के लिए है और मैं स्पेन को निमंत्रण देता हूँ।
de seguridad económica, científicas y tecnológicas.
हम दोनों अभी एक समझौता पे हस्ताक्षर करेंगे और इसमें इकोनॉमिक और साइंस।
The post-Brexit scenario in Europe was also a major agenda of the discussion between 2 heads of governments. They dwelt on how to utilize the opportunity which not just favors both countries but also strengthens the European Union. India sees it as a great opportunity to develop ties with major European powers while the disillusionment over Trump and his policies continue.
प्रेसिडेंट राहुल एक बहुत ही दीर्घदृष्टा नेता है, उनका गहरा अनुभव है और अपने आदर्शों और उसूलों पर वो बहुत ही कमिटेड है। यूरोप में किस प्रकार की चुनौतियां हैं, मानव जात को किस प्रकार की चुनौतियां हैं, ऐसी स्थिति में उनके साथ मिल बैठ करके हम और भी विषयों पर चर्चा करेंगे।
Both leaders also expressed the need to continue cooperating on issues related to UN reforms and other international bodies, especially on terrorism. In the last few years, a realization has grown across Europe the importance of India when it comes to fighting terrorism. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, now to Chennai, where 9 students of IIT Madras have been booked for allegedly assaulting a PhD scholar for taking part in an anti-beef ban protest on Sunday. The official action was prompted by a huge protest that took place at the college today by students. Here are the details.
Scores of students, including pro-left student bodies, being detained by Chennai police. They were protesting outside IIT Madras against the attack on a PhD scholar who participated in a beef fest earlier this week. Suraj R., a research student, was allegedly attacked by a group of students affiliated to right-wing group ABVP at IIT Madras on Tuesday. He was one of about 80 students who had gathered 2 days ago to discuss the centre's order on cow slaughter and ate beef during the protest.
Around 8 of them, they came, they surrounded Suraj, inquired about his personal details, and they actually hit him. Couple of them actually took his hands, and one of the guy actually hit him. The issue was that he had taken beef on Sunday.
The Beef Fest was organized to protest against the centre's new cattle rules, which the students say infringe on their right to eat what they want. DMK's M.K. Stalin also led about 300 workers in a protest against the centre's order and courted arrest this morning in Chennai. Similar protests have also been held in Kerala and Karnataka as well, with the support of various opposition leaders.
I am happy and I am acknowledging the decision of the Madras High Court that they have banned the decision of the of the Government of India. Making these kinds of decisions, the central government must take into consideration the state.
इस तरीके की वाद विवाद खड़े कर रही है सरकार खुद और उनके मतलब आरएसएस के जितने भी संगठन हैं, और अब ये सरकार कहना कि हम तय करेंगे भाई कौन क्या खाएगा, ये मंजूर नहीं है देश की जनता को। अब ये इस तरीके की घटनाएं जो हुई इसकी तो घोर निंदा करते हैं हम।
Following the student protests at IIT Madras, authorities have ordered an inquiry, while the Madras High Court has put the new rules on hold in Tamil Nadu for a month, seeking a response of the centre and the state. Union Minister Venkaiah Naidu had on Tuesday said that the centre would duly examine the issues raised by the states and trade organizations on the new regulations, while reports claim that the Environment Ministry may change the definition of cattle in its new rules to exclude buffaloes. Several BJP leaders, though, continue to stand by the order.
ये वही लोग बवाल मचा रहे हैं जो वोट के सौदागर। कभी कांग्रेस के नेता 2 बैलों का जोड़ा और बछड़ों का, गाय और बछड़ू, कभी गौहत्या को लेकर के कानून, और आज कांग्रेस कार्यालय के समक्ष मुसलमानों का दिल जीतने के लिए गौ की हत्या और बीफ फेस्टिवल, ये अब नहीं चलेगा।
West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee and Kerala counterpart P. Vijayan have been the most vocal against the new rules. On Wednesday, Tripura too joined the protesting states, saying that it will not implement the centre's new cattle trade and slaughter rules, describing them as anti-people. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, in other news, now terrorists hurled a grenade at a police party in Sopore town of North Kashmir's Baramulla district on Wednesday. 4 policemen were reportedly injured in the explosion. Security forces have started investigation into the attack. In another incident, suspected terrorists reportedly shot at and injured 2 persons in Baramulla district. Police have registered a case and investigations are on. Meanwhile, normalcy returned in Kashmir Valley after 3 days of restrictions and strike in the aftermath of the killing of Hizbul Mujahideen terrorist Sabzar Ahmad Bhatt. Shops, offices, fuel stations and other business establishments were opened today, though mobile and internet services remain suspended. Schools and colleges in the districts of Anantnag, Shopian, Pulwama and Budgam also remain closed as a precautionary measure. Meanwhile, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath on Wednesday offered prayers at the makeshift Ram temple in Ayodhya. This was Adityanath's first visit to the town after taking charge as Chief Minister. He is also the first CM since Rajnath Singh in 2002 to offer prayers at the temple. The visit comes a day after criminal conspiracy charges were framed against top BJP leaders, including LK Advani, in the Babri Masjid demolition case. Adityanath began his visit by offering prayers at the Hanumangari temple in Ayodhya. Later, he spent around 30 minutes at the makeshift temple in the Ram Janmabhoomi Babri Masjid complex. The Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister was accompanied by party leader Dharam Das, who too was charged with criminal conspiracy by the special CBI court in Lucknow yesterday.
मुख्यमंत्री प्रदेश के किसी भी पार्ट में जा सकता है और जो कुछ गए होंगे तो पहले से उनका कार्यक्रम रखा होगा। अखिलेश जी भी जब मुख्यमंत्री थे तो बहुत बार अयोध्या गए, उन्होंने अयोध्या के विकास के लिए हजारों करोड़ रुपया दिया।
कब अयोध्या जाना है, किस जगह पे जाना है, मुख्यमंत्री को क्या करना है, इसके लिए जो है वो परमिशन की जरूरत पड़ेगी क्या? जहां तक सवाल है अयोध्या का, अयोध्या एक आस्था का केंद्र है और अगर कोई भी मुख्यमंत्री हैं लेकिन उसके साथ साथ उनकी आस्था भी जुड़ी हुई है, तो इसमें कोई जाता है तो इसमें कांग्रेस पार्टी या किसी और को कोई आपत्ति किस बात की है?
मुख्यमंत्री उत्तर प्रदेश के मुख्यमंत्री हैं, वो कहीं भी जा सकते हैं, लेकिन ये अवश्य ध्यान रखना चाहिए कि मामला न्यायालय में चल रहा है, कोई इस तरह से विवादित बात ना हो जिससे किसी को आपत्ति हो।
Well, Cyclone Mora, accompanied by heavy showers and strong winds, lashed northeastern states of Mizoram and Manipur, inundating roads and sparking fears of floods in the region. In Mizoram, several houses were damaged and power and telecommunication network was disrupted due to the heavy rains. The Disaster Management and Rehabilitation Department has said that rains also triggered landslides in many places. In Manipur, the cyclone-induced rains caused a river in capital Imphal to burst its banks, creating fear of floods. However, local residents launched a massive operation to contain the water by lining the river with sandbags to create temporary barriers. Cyclone Mora made a landfall in Bangladesh on Tuesday, killing at least 6 persons and damaging houses in the neighboring country.
Present condition, like there is no way that it's going down. It's rising up, the water level is in there, and if the rate continues, the cyclone continues, we are likely to face a lot worse than this.
Well, let's now take a look at the other national developments in nationwide. The Enforcement Directorate on Wednesday raided the premises of Congress leader Baba Siddiqui and few others in connection with a money laundering probe case. The agency has registered a criminal case against Siddiqui and others under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. It is alleged that Siddiqui and few others are involved in financial irregularities in the redevelopment of a slum area in suburban Bandra. The Rajasthan High Court today recommended that the cow should be declared the national animal of India. The court also added that punishment for slaughtering cows be increased from 3 years to life imprisonment. The court's comments come at a time when several other states are protesting against the centre's ban on the sale of cattle for slaughter at animal markets. Rain lashed the national capital and several areas of Rajasthan today, bringing respite for the residents from the scorching heat. The maximum temperature is expected to hover around 38 degrees Celsius, with the minimum being 26 degrees. In Jaipur, the mercury dipped by 3 to 4 degrees due to the rains. Well, it's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You have to smell good when Yogi Adityanath comes for a public meeting.
You can't really blame a chief minister for the inappropriate attitude of some of the officers.
Recent decision which was taken by the centre to put a ban on the sale of cattle. There's a lot of politics happening over cow and beef.
That to respect the sentiments of a certain section of people, government has come up with this kind of a legislation.
This particular incident in Saharanpur, this had to do quite a lot with the reassertion of the Dalit identities and the reassertion of the Thakurs.
Caste is a rugged reality of the society. Caste and Varna system are not a day's affair.
Watch To The Point with Union Minister Anupriya Patel only on Rajya Sabha television.
Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, affectionately known as Madiba, was South Africa's first democratically elected president, an international peacemaker and statesman, and a Nobel Peace Prize winner. Through a long career as an activist, Mandela was a crusader for equal rights for South Africa's black majority. Having undergone frequent imprisonment, in 1964, Mandela was sentenced to life in jail, charged with sabotage, treason, and violent conspiracy. He narrowly escaped the gallows. He was released in 1990, having initiated talks with South African President de Klerk towards ending apartheid in the country. Mandela was awarded the Nobel Prize for Peace in 1993 for his efforts. In April 1994, the Mandela-led African National Congress won South Africa's first elections by universal suffrage. And Mandela was sworn in as president of the country's first multi-ethnic government. He retired from the presidency in 1999 and from public life in 2004. Nelson Mandela died on December 5, 2013, from a recurring lung infection.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television, where at least 80 people have been killed and over 350 injured in a suicide attack in Kabul on Wednesday. The area where the explosion took place is close to the presidential palace and several foreign embassies, including India's. Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj has confirmed that the Indian officials are safe. Here's a report.
Close to 80 civilians, including foreign nationals employed at various embassies, were killed in an earthquake-like massive suicide explosion which ripped through Kabul's high-security diplomatic enclave during morning rush hour on Wednesday. The blast caused by a car bomb struck close to German embassy in Zanbaq Square, injuring at least 300 people. The explosion was so powerful that it damaged windows and doors hundreds of meters from the blast area, sending clouds of black smoke spiraling over areas near the presidential palace and other foreign embassies in the Afghan capital. The target of the attack was not immediately clear.
و اینی خساری است که شما می‌بینید که پیش از حد گفتن نمیتونیم که بسیار کالای پرید و همکارمون مل شفاخانه است و این رقم انتحاری ما نیده بودیم به جزئی و این تو وحشتناک عمل.
جار وقت شد که ما داخل دفتر یک چند لحظه پیش شده بودیم که در شعبه شیشته بودیم که یک دفعه انفجار شد. انفجار شد، رفتیم دو پایان دویدیم در استودیو مکمل هم استودیو سر همکارای ما چفه شده بود.
دفتر که ناستیم بس کلا در انتحاری وشو زن پوینه شدم خپل دمیز باندې سر کو شیشه سر مې ولګید دو شیشه ولګید ډیر زیات کسان زوبر شو نه
سر دفتر میز کار خود بودم که یک صدای بسیار بد هیبت اومد دیگه نفهمیدم در وقتی که بسر شدم پس دیدم که از زیر میز افتادیم و از جنب خود میرسیم.
The injured were rushed to nearby hospitals as authorities said that investigations have begun in the blast.
گزارش‌های ابتدایی نشان می‌دهد که حدود 50 تا کشته و زخمی داره این حمله و حمله توسط یک موتر صورت گرفته. 30 واسطه هم از هموطنان ما که در این مسیر روی جاده بودن اینا هم خسارتمند شده و تعداد تخریب شده. ما تحقیقات در مورد چگونگی حادثه آغاز کردیم و
The bomb went off 100 meters from the Indian embassy, causing damage to the building. However, the External Affairs Ministry confirmed that all officials working in the embassy were safe. While no group has claimed responsibility of the attack, the blast comes just a month after Taliban announced the start of their annual spring offensive across all 34 Afghan provinces. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, the death toll in Sri Lanka's floods has crossed 200, with 94 people still missing in the country's worst torrential rains in 14 years. Search and rescue operations are still on and has been boosted by the arrival of international help. A third Indian Navy ship and with basic supplies arrived in Colombo on Wednesday morning, and at least 3 more Chinese ships are expected to arrive later in the week. A Pakistani ship too arrived in Lanka on Tuesday. Indian naval divers and medical teams are already assisting in the rescue efforts in the flood-hit regions. The country's army has deployed more troops to clear roads, unblock rivers, distribute food and rescue stranded people. Meanwhile, hundreds of people started returning home as the weather began clearing in some areas. Nearly 500,000 people have been displaced by the floods and thousands of homes destroyed.
අප ඉදිරිපත් කළ තිබෙනවා. මොකද බොහොම ශනිකව අපි විදේශ අමාත්‍යාංශ තුලින් මේ කරපු ඉල්ලීමට ප්‍රතිචාර ලැබිලා තියෙන එක අපට ලොකු සතුටක් බවට මේ අවස්ථාවේදී මතක් කරන්න කැමතියි.
Let's now take a look at some more developments from across the globe in Global Buzz. The US has for the first time successfully tested its defense system against an intercontinental ballistic missile or ICBM. The Missile Defense Agency said that a ground-based interceptor missile was launched at a California airbase and it shot down a mock ballistic missile over the Pacific Ocean. The Pentagon said that the test was long planned, but it comes amid increased tensions with North Korea. Pyongyang fired its 9th missile of the year just a few days back. A Russian warship and a submarine have fired 4 cruise missiles from the Mediterranean on Wednesday. The Defense Ministry statement said that they successfully targeted IS fighters and weapons which had moved to the ancient city of Palmyra from the IS stronghold of Raqqa. Moscow had warned the US, Turkey and Israel before launching the missiles. At least 12 people were killed in a landslide at a village near Sri Lanka's capital Colombo. Mud and rocks have also buried 3 houses. The administration has asked residents living at the foot of Malga mountain to take shelter in nearby shelters until the situation normalizes. Sri Lanka is grappling with the worst rains in 14 years, with over 200 people dead so far. Well, moving on to some sports news now, and at the French Open, American Venus Williams advanced to the second round after a straight sets victory over Kurumi Nara of Japan. The world number 10 Venus beat her Japanese opponent 6-3, 6-1. Meanwhile, world number 15 Petra Kvitova bowed out of the tournament after losing to American Bethany Mattek-Sands. Meanwhile, in the men's singles, Dominic Thiem progressed to the next round with a straight sets victory over Simone Bolelli of Italy. Well, moving on to cricket now, where the 8 Nations ICC Champions Trophy will kickstart from Thursday in England. Defending champions India, Australia and hosts England are the favourites to win the tournament this year. England will take on Bangladesh in the first game of the tournament before the much-awaited India-Pakistan clash on June 4th. Here's a preview.
The world's top 8 cricketing nations are all set to lock horns in the Champions Trophy, which begins on Thursday. The 50-over tournament, which was held after 4 years, is being held in England this year. While defending champions India and Australia are being pegged as the top contenders for the title, hosts England are being touted as favourites this year. After a series of good performances in the 50-over format, the hosts will kickstart the tournament against Bangladesh in London on Thursday. The teams have been divided in 2 groups, with Australia, Bangladesh, England and New Zealand in Group A, while arch rivals India and Pakistan have been put in Group B, along with top-ranked South Africa and Sri Lanka. India have been the most successful team in the tournament with a win percent of 71.42. The men in blue have won the tournament twice, first time jointly with Sri Lanka in 2002 and then in 2013. This time too, the Indian side looks good after winning their 2 warm-up games with comfortable ease. The defending champions will kickstart their campaign against Pakistan on June 4th at the Edgbaston in a much-anticipated match. They will next take on Sri Lanka on June 8th at the Oval. before facing world number 1 side South Africa at the same venue in their final group game. Former champions West Indies will be missed this year as they fail to qualify for the tournament. The top 2 teams from both the groups will make it to the semi-finals, where they will battle it out for the final, which will be held at the Oval on June 18th. The tournament, which is known as the Mini World Cup, started in 1998. It was initially held after a gap of every 2 years, but after 2006 the gap was increased to 4 years. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, that's it on this newscast. Have a good evening.